بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. We are in a new episode in Spirit of Values, and this is Dr. Tariq Rashid. In this episode we will discuss the value of change. What is change? Why people fear change? Why people resist change? This is very important value. Let's start with some of the facts about the value of change. The only thing constant in life is change. Everything is changeable. Everything, every moment we change. So the only thing constant is change. And according to John Kennedy, in one of his speech, he said the following: those who look to the past or to the present are sure to miss the future. We have to foresight the future. Think of changing our strategies, our old habits, our old methods. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إن الله لا يغير ما بقوم حتى يغيروا ما بأنفسهم. God will never change people unless they start changing by themselves. Are there certain models of change that we can apply? This is a very important value in a world of rapid change, a world of crisis, lots of risks. We have to adapt to change, and always we start to move forward by applying the change value. We are moving forward, we are adapting to new solutions, we are actually managing the situation rather than to be managed by situations. And here we can think of the following story. We have 4 frogs living in a pool. One day a flying geese come to the tree near this pool and address a speech to the frogs saying, every year I came here, I'm seeing that the pool is decreasing in the level of water. I recommend you to change the pool because the water is changing dramatically. The first frog said, no. I am here since 5 years. I have an experience. No way, nothing is changing. And he refused to listen to the flying geese. The second frog actually became a little bit worried. Oh, really? Then he believed in the first frog saying because he thought he is more experienced. The third frog said, well, if you are correct, then we can move to another pool. While the fourth frog said, I am noticing this since 2 or 3 years, and I have 3 more pools for my friends to move when this happens. What does this story apply? What can we conclude from this story? There are 4 actions of people towards change. So the story of the 4 frogs will give the light towards how people act towards change. 4 types of attitude. The first frog represent people who resist change, who do not listen, who do not notice that change is happening, and they refuse to get out of their comfort zone, but they will pay the tax at the end. The second type of attitudes, which is represented by frog number 2, people who feel stressed about change, think it's a temporary situation, and they stick to their comfort zone, believing on the long term everything will get back to its normal, and also they will pay the tax. Type 3 frog, he seems to be reactive towards change. When change happens, he or she will act, but sometimes this is not recommended because maybe the impact would be very large impacts and adverse effects. While what we recommend is type 4 attitude, which was represented by frog number 4, which is being proactive towards change. You think of scenarios of the future before the disaster or the crisis or the problem would come. So we recommend always future foresight to deal with change. What are the recommended models for change and how can we apply them? The first model started by Lewin in 1943. Lewin summarized the change process in a 3-stage process. The first is unfreeze. Change then refreeze, as if we are, for example, taking out of the ref some sort of an ice. So we start the unfreezing. It become now changing, then the additional amount will get back to the refrigerator and refreeze. So unfreeze, change, and refreeze is the model of Lewin. It's actually a descriptive model rather than practical model. And also Lewin said the following: always in change there is resistance. And what we do, we analyze the forces, or the field forces analysis. What are the forces that actually encouraging change to take place? What are the resisting forces? And we try to balance. If the resisting forces are much higher than the driving forces, we stop the change process. But whenever we feel that the driving forces have larger impact than resisting force, we have to move forward. This is one of the most important models, which is Lewin model. Another model is called ADKAR, A-D-K-A-R. The first is awareness. Before change, you have to be aware of where we are going, what we are changing. So awareness is number one. D is the desire. In order to let others move, we have to instill in them the desire for change. They should be convinced totally of moving forward. And K is the knowledge. They should be knowledgeable about what is the new situation, and we have to increase their knowledge. What is A in ADKAR model? It's the abilities. We have to increase the abilities of people, giving them skills, maybe giving them more knowledge, how to move. And R is the reinforcement step. So ADKAR model summarizes the change process in increasing awareness, the desire should be instilled, the desire, the passion, and then the knowledge to be increased, the abilities to be enhanced, and then to reinforce this new strategy of change. Now, the other model which we actually highly recommend to apply in different situations, personal level, organizational level, is John Kotter model of change. It's an 8-step model of change. Let me first introduce the 8 steps in this model, then we'll dig together in each step. Step number 1 is what we call create a sense of urgency. Create a sense of urgency. Step number 4, create a guiding coalition. Step number 3, start getting the vision for change. Create the vision for change. Step number 4, communicate this vision to people in order to go for it. Number 5, empower people. Number 6, create a short-term wins. Number 7, give more change and never letting up. And number 8, reinforce this new type of change into the culture. So it's an 8 model step. If we dig in each step, step number 4, create a sense of urgency. People will never change unless they feel the importance of change. They feel the urgency for change. For example, if being in this comfort zone will threaten our existence, will threaten our financial resources, we have to move and start announcing every danger, every terrible statistics that is affecting the current situation. In order people move, we have to create a sense of urgency by advertisement, by every now and then meetings, and insisting on the situation now is very terrible, we have to move. So step number 1, create a sense of urgency. Step number 2 is create the guiding coalition. A team believing in the change would start their meetings. But what are the composition of this team? We recommend 4 types of people be in this coalition for leading the change. First, one with a position, with power. For example, the leader of the process. The second is an excellent management guy or person who can manage the situation. The third is an expert in the change matter subject. For example, if it is an IT technology, we have to bring some sort of expertise in IT. And the fourth guy in the team is what we call the most credible employee. Once people see the credible guy in this team, they start believing in this team. Credibility is one of the highest values, so one should represent this value in the creating a guiding coalition. Now, step number 3 in this model is to create the vision for change. Now, the guiding coalition start now meetings looking for an excellent vision to represent the future. And a vision is actually a mental perspective of the future. The vision should be easy to remember, imaginable, desirable, so that people start believing in it, focused and flexible in order to let people move. So we have to work on this vision as a team to create vision for movement. Step number 4 is start to communicate this vision to the employees, to the people, to the individuals affected by the change process. So in every meeting, every now and then, announcement, make it, let others tell others about the change. So we have to communicate this change vision to all people affected. Step number 4 is starting the empowerment. People will resist, but when we start increasing their knowledge, their skills, we start giving some sort of training, coaching sessions, mentoring sessions to help them move, we are actually trying to empower them. And we have to set some sort of review of lessons needed, training sessions needed, empowering people. Once we empower people, they start ready to move to step number 5, step number 6. So step number 6 now, create short-term wins in order people feel that they are appreciated for the movement they did. They should feel the fruitfulness of this moving ahead. So create short-term wins, rewards, appreciation, celebration, so they start thinking it's really a nice stage. We have changed and we are moving forward. Step number 7, never letting up. Increase, educate, put more projects, and we move forward for step number 8 until we reach the final stage of the change process. In such a case, we reinforce the new culture and we become with a new culture, new values, and the new projects now are delivered to support this change model. So Kotter model is one of the best applicable models to create an effective change in organizations, in society. Change is a very important value. If we go through this model, we will achieve successful changes. Now, how can we connect Kotter model with Lewin model? Lewin model is a 3-stage process: unfreeze, change, refreeze. Let's think of Kotter's model, which we always recommend in applying for professional excellent change. The first step is create a sense of urgency, as if we are unfreezing the current situation. Step number 2, where we start the changing process by first create a guiding coalition. Step number 3, set the vision, create a good, excellent vision. We are actually in the change process. Then communicate the vision to people, still in the change process. So create and communicate the vision. Number 5, empower people and reinforce them with the skills, attitudes, new values, the new knowledge they need. So this is again in the change process of Lewin. Step number 6, create short-term wins. So they start believing, and this is again relating to Lewin model, it's in the change process. Step number 7, never letting up and increasing, incorporate more change. This is again in the change process. Then finally, reinforced this new culture, it's refreezing. So as if Kotter model is explaining the Lewin model in more descriptive, practical methods of application. Now, when we go through change process, actually there is what we call the psychological cycle of change. People first will be under shock. Just take the case, for example, in COVID-19. The first starting, people start in a shock. So then anger, then some sort of depression. They start convincing that this is a situation that will go and last for several months or years, we don't know. And then they start adapting, they start moving. So we recommend that this very important value of change always to apply, and think of don't resist change, because if you resist change, the idea says if you don't change, you will be changed. Hoping you to start thinking of this value, its importance to apply in our lives. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.